He occupies somebody's land. Like how
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Occupy
they all
somebody's land.
occupy someone's land. Yeah. And under this, we took the example of Govardhan Puja and how King like Niga, like who was the son of Ikshvaku, had experienced karma yoga, right? We all remember King Niga's example. Yes, Mataji and Prabhuji, all clear so far? Can we start today's lesson?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, okay. I'll just start with the opening prayers. Yeah. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjalashulakaya Chakshurunmaditam Menam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunantanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpata Rupesya Kripa Sindhu Eva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. So till now we had seen in last class, as I've mentioned, from 3.3 to 3.9, it is Nishkam Karma Yoga. So from 3.11, moving to like 3.16, it deals about Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga, right? So who wants to read the shloka and the translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I?
Yes, Uma Mataji. Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Devan bhavayatanena te bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreya paramavapsyatha. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, thus nourishing one another. There will reign general prosperity for all. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So first, when anyone reads the shloka in third chapter, we hear about demigods. So everyone will be like, who is a demigod? According to you, what is the definition of a demigod and who are demigods?
Hare
Who are
Krishna.
demigods? Yes, Saurabh Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah, Mataji, these are the demigods which Krishna has given some responsibilities to perform, like Surya Devta and Durga Mata. So they are doing some particular jobs under Krishna guidance and support.
Yes, Prabhuji. So basically, they are like the administrators of this material world. I mean, they do the material affair dealings, right? And they're also like the authorized people. And we also, Srila Prabhupada compares to them as limbs, right? So they are the limbs. So who do all this kind of things for material affairs only. Yeah. So they are more of material gods, right? So that's why they are called demigods. So over here, what Srila Prabhupada says about demigods is that, like, though demigods are important and though they are put in charge, why we Krishna conscious people don't worship demigods is because we have achieved this realization saying Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So once we worship the supreme, there is no need to worship and satisfy the demigods. Hence, even in Govardhan Puja, a lot of them would have asked, then we should worship demigods and offer sacrifice to Indra, right? But that was not done. That is because Krishna was present there. And whatever his desire is the desire of even the demigods. But for a split of second, Indra had lost his thing. Okay, he didn't know, like, Krishna was like supreme personality of Godhead. So hence he got like agitated and hence he did. And at the end, he also got his lesson. So this is what we know, that the demigods being pleased by sacrifice will also please you. So once we please them, they'll please us in terms of material things, not in terms of anything. But there are a lot of people after coming into Krishna consciousness, our gurus tell us to even wish for spiritual things. Even then, the demigods will fulfill it. But still, we normally go and worship Supreme Personality of Godhead because we've read in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is supreme. Mataji, Uma Mataji, you can continue the purport.
Yes, Mataji, sure. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
The demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity are entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yajnas by the human being. Some of the yajnas are meant to satisfy particular demigods, but even in so doing, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajnas, the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yajnas, bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the yajnapati is the chief purpose of all yajnas. When these yajnas are perfectly performed, naturally, the demigods in charge of the different departments of supply are pleased, and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. Performance of yajnas as yes,
Mataji, I'll just explain till here and then we'll continue.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so Prabhupada, basically, when he was giving lecture on this particular shloka, he says that in the present, we live in a godless society, yeah? And in this society, people think that everything is nature, everything is controlled by nature, and nature is just like it exists, yeah? And they believe in this theory called Big Bang, where through a massive explosion, everything has happened and all are created. And so were the living beings and plants and everything. So what they don't know is even the nature is created by someone, right? And that creation is controlled by someone. And that controller is who is called as demigod, yeah? So though it is created by someone, it is maintained and controlled by someone. So what happens is all of these demigods who are called the controllers are basically servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is Vishnu, Mahavishnu, or Sri Krishna, yeah? So the so-called scientists, what they think is, now that we've created everything, okay, they use the word we have invented. So there's no thing as invented. Everything exists. Okay, there's only called discovery. No human being has the ability to invent anything. We only can discover, because even the inventions that are created, okay, they are created from the sources that the God has given us. Example, metal, the food grains, or anything that we can imagine that was being invented is actually discovered. Yeah, we discover, and through that we create something new, right? But at the end, everything that Krishna has given to us, we are still discovering. There's a lot of things that we have not yet discovered. So it kind of limits us. Over here, it says, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam. So this comes from the chapter 8 shloka. So this says that everything that comes, and everything that is offered, it is for the pleasure of the Lord. Yeah. So for example, income tax, we all pay income taxes, right? So and we pay it regularly. And if we don't pay the income tax, we have that, consequences that we have to face. Similarly, when we receive heat from the sun and when we receive rainfall from Indra, we are supposed to offer something to them in return. So that is done by tapasya, or like that is done by this yagnas and yagas. But now in this particular yuga, it's not like all of us are offering, sacrifices, right? So why is it, and why are we still having the access to these resources? Can anyone answer that? I mean, we're not performing yajnas and yagas, right? Like our ancestors did, but still God is giving us sunlight and everything. What is the reason? It's fine. All of you can guess also. Yes,
Lord
Uma.
is so merciful, Mataji. Lord is so merciful. And in Kali Yuga, we cannot do all yagnas and yagas because of we don't get, purified yagnas things, and then we don't get purohits who are doing with the correct mantras and such things we don't have in Kali Yuga. So, Nama Sankirtana we do japa.
Yes. Like Mataji has said. Yes, Saurabh Prabhu, do you have anything to add?
Mataji, yeah, like in Kali Yuga, we all are Shudras, so
Correct.
there is no expectation like we'll be doing some kind of yagna or sacrifice, Mataji.
Yes, correct. Yeah, Prabhuji and Mataji, both of them are right. Actually, Brahmanas right now, we as Prabhuji said, we all are Shudras. Yeah, we do not have that ability. Even if we say mantras, what like Krishna says is it will be spelled wrong in Kali Yuga. It's not going to be 100% perfect. So it is better you avoid, doing these kind of things. And what you can do is do Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah, that is the yajna of this particular thing. So, and what happens is, though we can't see with the eye the full-fledged effect of not having yajna, what we can still see is we see irregular rainfalls, or we see irregular heat temperatures, right? Like one day it's too hot, one day it's too cold, and then we see people suffering because of this. So this is the kind of climatic changes we are seeing. Okay, though we are not performing that yagas and yajnas we used to do before, though we are doing Sankirtan yajna, the ratio is less. The number of people who are not performing are more. Before this, if a king used to perform, he used to perform it for the whole country, right? But right now, like we have barely few leaders who actually take up the initiative to do these kind of things for their people. So hence, right now, the only yajna we can do from our side is chant for Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And that's why every time we finish any mantra, we always wish like Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, right? I think all of you are aware of this thing. So we always wish like the whole universe and everyone, let everyone prosper. So that is an ending thing we do. Mataji, you
And
can
then
continue.
we say Krishnarpanamastu also, Mataji.
Yeah,
At the end of
Krishna
all
Arpanamastu.
pujas and everything
Yes.
what we take, we say Krishnarpanamastu.
Krishna Arpanamastu. See, they both are important. Yeah, everything is Krishna. Everything comes from him, and everything should also go to him, right?
Yes.
Like even we, all of us also should go back to him.
And they say
So,
even if we perform or we offer anything to the demigods, it will reach Keshava only.
yeah, sure. Because in the mantras itself, his names are
Yes,
there.
yes.
So even when we sit and carefully listen to any homa or yajna going on, we can listen everything. There's his names, the time we are in. The like example, like they say Sveta Varaha Kalpe, Kali
Yes.
Yuge. Yeah, all this like everything is so detailedly described in the mantras. It's just that we don't
Sankalpam.
hear. Yeah, correct.
That is
Yeah.
Sankalpam. Mm.
And all of this is there in our thing, but we are just example. See, even we are Shudras, right? We are ignorant, we can't hear them, and people who are performing are doing it for the sake of doing it. So hence, it is not. It's not like you shouldn't do, but it is not recommended. It's not the best process. It will not give you the 100% result. Yes, Mataji, you can continue reading the second paragraph.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Performance of yajnas has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from the material bondage. By performance of yajnas, all activities become purified, as it is stated in Vedas. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Suddhau Dhruva Smriti Lambhe Sarva Grantinam Vipra Moksha. As it will be explained in the following verse, by performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified, and when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation, and all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. So this particular shloka is actually from an Upanishad, yeah. I think it is called Chandobhaya Upanishad. So what is the meaning of this, as Mataji has just read, is given below over here, yeah. So what it actually means in short is when the food which is offered is purified, then automatically when it enters you, it is purified food, right? Prasadam is purified. And when the food is purified, your mind also gets purified. And when the mind is purified, your memory will actually start clearing up. It start removing unwanted material stuff out of your brain, and it will make space for more remembrance, and by which we develop more remembrance. And once we have more remembrance, we like as a living entity, we have the inquisitiveness to know more. Yeah, so that will lead us to like read a lot, and that will lead us from like liberation. Hence we can take the path of liberation, which is Krishna consciousness. So they say, right, the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, all of this follows each other, right? Everything needs, after Shravanam, you go to Kirtanam, and then you go to Padasmaranam, Vishnu, Padasmaranam, everything. So it's a step-by-step process. It's like a chain. You can't miss one and do the other. Yeah, it is all like us, like one by one steps that leads you to bhakti. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say in this particular shloka. Everyone is clear that demigods are the limbs of Lord Vishnu, and then they do the duties and taking, like, example, one posting, like one of them takes the posting of light, rain, like air and everything, and later on we have to worship them. We can worship them, and but that will still only be for material needs only. Yeah, but if we actually want the ultimate benediction, which is for human to achieve and go back home, back to Godhead, then we have to choose Krishna and offer everything. Like Mataji had said, Krishna Arpanamastu. Every time you say something, you just do Krishna Arpanamastu. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Next, who wants to read 3.12?
May I read,
Hemant.
Mataji? If
Yes, Saurabh Prabhu.
yeah. इष्टान् भोगानि वो देवा दास्यन्ते यज्ञभावितः तेरा दत्तान् प्रदोभ्य यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन अवसः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yagna sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to demigods in return is certainly a thief. Shall I
Yeah.
continue?
Yes, Prabhuji, you can continue the puppet.
The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yagnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yagnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yagnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and before the goddess the sacrifice of animal is recommended. But for those who are in the mode of goodness, this transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all the yagnas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary man, at least 5 yagnas, known as Panch Mahayagna, are necessary. One
Hare
should,
Krishna, Prabhuji, I'll
yeah,
just
Hare
explain till
Krishna.
here and we can continue. Yeah. So over here, we see the most important thing is the 5 yajnas known as Panch Mahayajnas. Okay. And everyone might have a doubt, why are we not performing this? There is no need, because for this Kali Yuga, again coming back, we have Sankirtan Yajna. Yeah, that is ultimate. But it is also important to know what was this Panch Mahayajna, right? So Panch Mahayajna, it had 5 types important. The first one was called Brahma Yajna. Brahma Yajna is also called as Veda Yajna. So this is where people used to refer to Vedic scriptures and they used to study. So this yajna include the studies of Vedic scriptures and injections. And it also had meditation and also like yoga and everything. So this was more of Satya Yuga kind of a, like yajna going on. The second one is called Deva Yajna. Okay, and it is offering to Agni, basically fire sacrifice, right? We used to offer ghee and uncooked grains and everything. And this is basically because we are in debt to the nature. The nature is giving so much to us and we are not giving anything back. So this yajna is where we give what nature gives us to the nature back. The third one is called Priti Yajna, or right, the offering we do for ancestors, for Pitru Paksha and all those pujas. So we offer them Pindadan and water and everything. And this comes under the classification of Shraddha and Tarpana and all of them. The fourth type is called Bhuta Yajna. Okay, this is offering made to animals or insects or any other living, entity or something like that. So, example, this yajna is majorly because we wanted to rectify any of our past practices. Example, in the past, if we had eaten or if we had killed something or if we had touched or we cooked or anything like that in the past, to rectify that, we do the Bhuta Yajna. The last one is called Ati Yajna. Okay, this is where you offer like things to the like uninvited guests or guests that appear to your home uninformed, right? So these kind of like thing is called Atithi Yajna. Sorry, Atithi Yajna. Yeah, Prabhuji, you can continue.
Hare Krishna. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agent of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. for the persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians like meats, none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, air, etc., which are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them and to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. This aim of life is attained by performance of a yagnas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yagnas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yagnas, namely the Sankirtana Yagna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of yagna Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, Srila Prabhupada beautifully tells in this thing and also in his lectures that actually a Lord Vishnu or Krishna, he supplies everything, whatever we need for 84 lakh species, right? So, we are never in a scarcity. It's just that we are put in a state that we are in a scarcity by our own people, by our own kind, right? So, Prabhupada says, then if science is so advanced, then why can't they provide the food? So it is just not, it's not insufficient. It's just not that we are not offering what it is given, as here it's mentioned, okay? If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agent of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of the creation. So we are not only here to like keep on taking, right? Even as human beings, if we keep taking from a person, that person feels like he's been taken advantage, he or she has been taken advantage of. So there's also like give and take thing. Okay, when whatever we receive, we should also give it, right? So the same thing also applies over here. Whatever we take from the nature, we should also give it back to the nature. As we can't make plans or we can't make or the creation by ourselves, what we do is when we eat or something, example, they say like take prashadam. Why? Because we offer it to God. It's not like Krishna is hungry, or it's not like even if Krishna is hungry, we can feed, we have enough food to like actually satisfy the God, you know, I mean, satisfy Krishna. But he does it for his devotees. Okay, he does it so that we can eat the thing without incurring any kind of sins. So it is actually give and take is over there. Okay, we're taking and we're also giving it back. But Krishna is the one who's taking all the sins out of this. That's why in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada emphasizes so much on prasadam. He's like arrange Sunday feast, you know, feed a lot of people, and we also see a lot of ISKCON, you know, like temples taking this initiative of feeding people on a very regular basis. So it is very important, yeah. And second thing is, this is all like all these supplies are made in such a way that if a meat person cannot cook meat without vegetables or grains, yeah, but us being vegetarians, we can survive without non-veg or meat, yeah. So coming back, even a meat eater should actually honor grains and vegetables, because without that their food is actually incomplete, yeah. So that is what is stated in this purpose. And towards the end, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he says is the yajna, performing yajna is expensive, right? We have to buy liters and liters of ghee, and sometimes the ghee is not pure, and pure ghee is very expensive, and sometimes we run out of supplies, you know, sometimes something is missing in a yajna. But actually there's a very cheap and very expensive, I mean a very like easy thing. It's not that expensive. That is basically Sankirtan, chanting the holy name. It has no expenses and it has no loss, or it doesn't have any kind of negative side effect, right? So why can't we do this? This is still a kind of yajna, right? So this is the best yajna where like it doesn't have to be only if you're rich. Back in those days, only rich people could perform yajnas. But now for Sankirtan yajna, there is no such rule. Anyone from any status, with whatever they have, they can still chant the holy names unrestrictedly with pure love. Yeah. I think can
Hare
we move on
Krishna.
to the...
Mataji, I have a question. Mataji, like here, if we are connected to Krishna consciousness, then we'll come to know about like we are thieves or something like that. But if
Yes.
generally we never know, like if we are doing something wrong, and other thing like people, if we, even if we know that we need to give to society, so mostly
Hmm?
lot of people giving food and clothes and all to greedy and all. So even
Yeah.
that is not also not fair according to Krishna consciousness because we have to connect them to the God only. So
Okay.
those all are Mataji, a lot of confusion is there. Like
It is,
how
Prabhuji. So now
how
what
Krishna
happens
is
is,
helping us to connect himself. Na? So
like, yeah.
what age
So
automatically people get connected and come to know about this. What is the importance of like yeah, Mataji.
yeah, I mean, see, whatever we're eating, we are sensitive, Prabhuji. Though we are not eating meat, yeah, we're still like hurting a life, right? So we're still incurring things if it is not offered to God, or if it is not offered to Krishna. See, a lot of people don't offer bhoga and everything, yeah, even if you're Krishna conscious. Now, what happens when we give things to other people outside is that there are many times when you give donation, you don't know if it is put to the right use, right? We see beggars in front of temples begging and everything. But in the night, if you go and see what they're doing, they would actually take that money, they would go, they would buy some alcohol or something like that, and they would come, they would drink in a place and they would sleep. Because the food, I mean, the money we give is not sufficient for them to eat like 3 meals a day. But if they just drink alcohol, they can peacefully sleep in the night, right? Now, indirectly, the sin is also coming on to us because they used our Lakshmi, right? When we give some amount of money or something. So normally when we do this kind of things, it is better we go through some kind of thing. Example, you can go through ISKCON, right? You can give food for life, right? This is something initiated by Jay Patak Swami Maharaj. You can pay some amount for it. And then through this, they're feeding a million, I mean, lakhs of people. So we can go through this kind of process. So I hope I answered your question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. I wanted to just like people who are not in Krishna consciousness, they do not
Yeah.
come to know what are
So
the
that is their karma, no?
okay.
Eventually, so it is what they have incurred, and in this life, I mean, Krishna, at least till this point, he has not given them an opportunity to realize him, and this is the knowledge. But that doesn't mean whatever they're doing, everything is wrong and everything is karma. Maybe sometimes they might have given the right donation to the right people. So, but this goes under demigod thing. Yeah, demigods are pleased with people who do this kind of things, but not when a person is completely in Krishna consciousness. So those people are diverted in that path. Yeah, that's why we see a lot of demigod worshippers, right?
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. I think Shruti Mataji had raised her hand last time to read, I think. But anyone who wants to read can read 3.13.
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Nandini Mataji, okay, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I'll try, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yajna Shishta, Yajna Shishti,
Ishta Sinha.
Yajna Shishta Shinnaha Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilivaishaha
Kilbishai.
Buchante Te, Mataji,
Kilbishai.
Kilbishaiha, Bishaiha Buchyante Te Tvadyam Papam Ye Pachyant Atma Karanat.
Translation also.
Translation?
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare the food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin.
Yeah. I think as discussed previously, yeah. So if we don't offer anything to Krishna, we are merely only eating sins and there's nothing else. Because according to a devotee, over here in the first two lines, it shows the bhava of a devotee, right? A devotee knows that Krishna is self-sufficient and he doesn't need anything. So he offers it for him, but not for his taste palette. When even in Krishna consciousness, some people are like, when they make bhoga, they shouldn't think like, okay, I'm going to make puri because it's my favorite. We're not supposed to think like that. We're supposed to think what is Krishna's favorite, and without the taste of the tongue, we have to make it. Only then will it be like completely a pure devotee. But we say like Shuddha Sattva Gunaya, it will be in that state. And also devotee in this bhava feels like I don't have to go to restaurants or something. I will simply have Krishna Prasadam. I see a lot of devotees when they keep traveling, they kind of try to find temples or ISKCON to go there and have the Brahman Bhojan over there. So it is an extra mile a devotee goes when they are in this pure Shuddha Sattva Bhav. Okay. So this kind of devotee, they don't incur any kind of sins. But one who prepares food for personal sense enjoyment really eats only sin. So when we prepare like our favorites, or when we prepare food for our liking with onion, garlic, and everything, we are preparing it for our own things, for our own sense gratification. So hence, all we do is we incur sin. Right? Mataji, you can continue with the purport.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Perfect. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna consciousness, are called Shantas, and they are always in love with the Lord, as it is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.38. Prema Jana Churita Bhakti Vilochena Santa Sadaiva Hridesha Vilokayanti. The Shantas, being always in a compact of love with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Govinda, the giver of all pleasure, or Mukunda, the giver of the liberation, or Krishna, the all attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yajnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. And these performances of yajnas keep them always aloof from all kind of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Others who prepare food for the self or sense gratification are not only thieves but also the eaters of all kinds of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and a sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtana Yajna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. So as discussed before in the shloka, if we still eat for our own sense gratification, even that is not going to stay for long. Our body tends to change like bodily for every 7 years once. Yeah. So example, 7 years before there are some foods that we can eat, but after 7 years we're not able to eat them because as we are aging, we have digestion issues, we have health issues and everything. So the body itself is rejecting some kind of food types. But whereas if you see all the food that comes in under the mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva, all the foods are clean to the body. You can eat them, and we see our gurus and everyone, they're so healthy, so active. So Krishna is saying the person who eats all this, it reflects on them. Yeah, they do everything with such sincerity, and their consciousness is also very high. We discussed before, right? People who eat good food have clear mind, good remembrance. So some people will ask, how do you remember so many shlokas to all our, spiritual teacher, to our Siksha gurus, right? It's because they are trying to have a very clean and very like Krishna conscious life. So that is why this is happening to them. I know it is very hard for all of us to offer bhoga 3 times a day. That's why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Thoyam. You can ask, you can like give me any one. So what we can do is at home, we can offer water with tulasi. And when we cook, we can add that water to our our dish or something, or even to the water bottle you drink, you can add that water. So in this way, at least like some of the food you're intaking throughout the day, it has some kind of prasadam in it. So as devotees, we need to come up with so many ideas or things that we have to try to include as much as prasadam in our life, and at least go to temple once and take Krishna prasadam. So these are some kind of basic things. And as Mataji has read, therefore such devotees always perform yajna in different modes of devotional service. So the mode is not one, right? It it can vary. It can be like Shravanam for someone. I know a lot of people who love singing than chanting. So they also sing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But if you ask them to sit and chant, they won't chant. They will be like, no, I'll sing. I'll sing 16 rounds. And I've seen people who do that, right? So it is just the mode you are in. And some people love preaching. Some people who love like Likita Japa, right? Where people write the names of Lord. So they're different kind of thing, but nothing is wrong. But the easiest process is chanting because it takes lesser time and it is also easy for our busy lives, right? So if we are not doing so, and if you're not offering prasad to Lord, and if you are just eating, even if you're not offering prasadam, when the food comes to your plate, and if it doesn't have onion, garlic, at least like pray. You can say the prasadam offering mantra and pray to Krishna. Thank you so much for the food. Because if you're not praying and if you're not acknowledging the person who, and if you're not grateful for Krishna for what he's given, you're not grateful for the supplier, then you are incurring sin, right? So we are thief, we are stealing from the nature, right? And we can never give back to nature. So at least what we can do from our side is we can at least pray when the food comes to our plate, that as Krishna is the fire in our digestive system, may he, like, whatever we eat, may he digest everything. And also may we not incur any kind of sins because of what we have done to the things we are eating. And at the same time, we can also say Krishna Arpanamastu, like how Uma Mataji has said, everything is to you, Krishna, and then it is to me, right? So in this way, the Lord is pleased. Krishna only sees the pure devotee bhava, okay? He doesn't see if you're offering chappan bhog or if you're just offering patram pushpam palam toyam. It's the same, but it should be offered with love. Yeah, any questions so far or clear? Can we move on to the next shloka? Okay. Next, who wants to read? 13.4.
I'll read, Mataji.
Yes, Shruti Mataji. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anand bhavanti bhutani parjananyad anna sambhava yagnat bhavati prajanyo yagna karma samudbhava.
Translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagna, and yagna is born of prescribed duties.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I think all of you know the cycle of sacrifice, right? So this is how it starts, okay? First with food grains. We will see this after shloka, next shloka. But Mataji, you please do continue reading, no?
Okay, perfect. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great commenter on the Bhagavad Gita, writes as follows: Ye Indriya Angatyavastitham Yagnam Sarveshwaram Vishnum Abhayacharya Tat Chesham Ashanti Tena Tat Deha Yatram Sampadayanti Te Santaha सर्वेश्वरस्य यज्ञ पुरुषाय भक्ताः सर्वा किल्बिषै आनंदी कला विवृधैर आत्मानुभावा प्रतिभाबंधकैर निखिलै पापैर विमुच्यन्ते. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yagna Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who manage the material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifice to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna conscious offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By
Mataji,
such action, yeah.
Just one thing, I'll explain till here, yeah?
Yeah.
So over here, we can see that the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed as material affairs, right? As we've seen before, and they are the limbs of the god. So how we have different limbs of our body, and if we want to go somewhere, our legs, they take us to places, right? And our hands, they help us to eat. Similarly, the demigods are different limbs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are like, they help, like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, they all help, and they are appointed by, Krishna himself So similarly in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that even we humans are part of Lord Vishnu's limbs, right? Example, the Brahmanas are the head of Lord Vishnu, and the Kshatriyas are the arms, and the Vaishyas are the waist, and the Shudras are the lotus feet, right? So now we all are in Shudras level where we just serve the lotus feet, right? So that is our duty, and that's what we are doing also. And this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 7.23. Okay, so also all the benefactory of all this is Mahavishnu or Sri Krishna. So similarly, when a tax person collects the taxes, he doesn't collect it for him, right? It's not like he takes all the taxes and he uses it for himself. Similarly, the demigods, they don't take the taxes for themselves, or they don't take these sacrifices for themselves, but this is all directed to Lord Vishnu, like how the taxes are diverted to the government. Yeah, so this is an analogy given by Prabhupada. So we see the same thing in Govardhan Puja, right? So though all the sacrifices are done, and Indra, it is actually an example where we see Indra got like too agitated, right? He's like, how dare they don't offer me thing. The thing is, even though we offer sacrifice, yeah, in Krishna book it says, even though if Krishna says to Nanda Maharaj, even if you offer the sacrifice, okay, Indra is not just going to give you rain, okay, he's going to rain in the ocean, he's going to rain in the next village, everywhere. So it is his duty to do it, yeah. But you're offering this to Lord Vishnu. But now that Krishna himself, who is like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has said this, they had to do it. And Indra was the one who disobeyed. So even when there is a corruption in the tax system, we see people change, or we see the higher authorities give them some kind of punishment. Similarly, we see over there Krishna had punished Indra for what he has done, okay, because he was just supposed to like render his duty, but he got high ego and he started saying, how dare these people don't offer the sacrifice, and hence he caused the devastating rainfall. Yeah, Mataji, you can continue. By such actions.
By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all the reactions of past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of the self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord or food offered to Vishnu is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'll explain and then you can continue. Yeah. So over here again we say in the purport, Srila Prabhupada again says, okay, again people are incurring sin. He keeps repeating this point for the next 4-5 shlokas, okay, because, and he also gives us an analogy of an epidemic disease. So when we have a disease, we have to take an vaccine. Otherwise, we won't be immune to the disease and we will fall really sick. So similarly over here, if we don't offer anything to God, okay, we are not going to we are going to incur the sins that have caused without offering to him, right? So we might fall sick or we might incur the karma for that particular thing. So Srila Prabhupada just says just like offering prasadam is like an antidote. Yeah. And if you don't, then the normal food is actually contaminated. During COVID, we used to not visit the contaminated places, right? But similarly, what they say is if you don't offer prasadam, then that particular food is contaminated. It's of no use. Yeah. Even if you eat it, you're going to incur sins and everything. So this keeps repeating for the next 4-5 shlokas, right? And what we can do, how we can immunize ourselves only by accepting prasadam of Lord, yeah. And as mentioned, we can offer even patram pushpam, phalam thoyam, yeah. Even just leaf, fruit, flower, water, anything, yeah. And Lord will accept it from us. Yes, Mataji, you can continue.
Yeah. Food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc., and they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yagna, specifically the Sankirta Yagna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from the scarcity of food supply.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji. Yes,
Krishna.
I think that discussed before. As vegetarians, there's no need for us to depend on meat. But for meat eaters, they have to depend on vegetation and other grains and everything. So even for them, they are also in depth to the nature, right? They are taking from the nature. So even they are supposed to perform this Sankirtan Yagna, but we see a lot of them do not, right, in this age. So at least if we do Sankirtan Yagna, at least for our personal or for the future generations, because if we are Krishna consciousness, our parents or maybe our children or something, even they will be Krishna consciousness. So there'll be no scarcity of food in this way. To be honest, Kali Yuga is the most easiest, as said by our gurus, because all they're asking us to do is chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Imagine in previous generations, they had to do such massive yajnas, and if the king was not sincere and if he had some karmic reactions, it would show on the entire kingdom. But now it's not like that. Now no one needs to perform yajna for us, and even if he is like a karmic person, those effects will not come to us because we're doing Sankirtan Yajna. So our results are dependent on our Yajna, which is like how nice we are chanting, how sincerely we are chanting. Are we hearing when we chant? Are we doing attentive chanting? And what time we chant is important. Are we doing in morning or in the evening or in like the late night? And then all of these factors add up. So this shows the sincerity level, the kind of example in Homa, okay, we use good ghee, right? So that shows the level of like attentive chanting we are doing. Are we doing it mindfully or we're distracted? We're looking at our phones and are we doing it at a stretch? Because normally they say it's good. Some people do it at a stretch, but it takes like somewhere between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So some people can't do it. So we split and do it, right? So all of these are some of the factors that actually show how good our yajna is. So it is our responsibility to perform at least the Sankirtan yajna to the fullest at the best. Try to chant as early as possible, at least before 10 a.m. or something. Because even if someone is eating onion and garlic because of some circumstances, at that time you wouldn't have consumed anything, right? So when you're telling your japa, your body is like really clean, and at least at that point whatever you're uttering, it is not that much of sinful because you're not eaten yet, right? Even pujaris in temple, when they perform arati and everything, they don't eat, right? So from the Mangal Arati, they stay in a fast, they have to bathe, they have to enter, and they don't eat anything. They can't, even if they have water, it is actually not purified. So there are a lot of rules like this. So we are very fortunate that it's just Sankirtan Yajna. It's very easy for us to do, right? And also by eating, we get energy, right? And this energy was given to us by Krishna, and this energy we have to utilize it for Krishna. That's why like our gurus tell that if possible, render yourself in some kind of seva. So spend this energy that you're eating. So like from food you get energy, right? So use this energy to at least do some kind of seva. It can be you going to temple and doing seva, or some online seva, something. It can be like anything. It doesn't have to be big and anything. Any small thing you can do that you can render seva, then it will be very pleasing to Lord Shri Krishna. We will move on to the next one. Who wants to read 3.15?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi.
Shri Radha Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. Nityam Yagni Pratishtitam. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Mataji, can you scroll up? Yeah. Regulated activities are prescribed in Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Purport. Yagnartha Karmana, or the necessity of work for the satisfaction of Krishna only, is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the satisfaction of the Yajna Purusha, Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman or the transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore codes of working directions. Anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called vikarma, or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the direction of the state, one similarly has to work under the direction of the supreme state of the Lord. Such directions in the Vedas are directly manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitam Etad Yad Rigvedo Yajurvedaha Samavedo Tarvan Girashaha. The four Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, are all emanations from the breathing of the great personality of Godhead. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.11. The Lord being okay.
I'll just explain till here, okay? Okay, over here we can see that Vishnu is called Yagna Purusha, and also over here we see Vikarma. Does anyone know what are the three types of karma? We have karma, Vikarma here it's stated, and one more is Akarma. Yeah. So basically, karma, I think all of you know, right? Actions that are performed in terms of prescribed duties, as mentioned in scriptures, is called karma, right? And then actions that are free from, that make us free from the cycle of death and birth is called akarma. And vikarma is where actions that are performed through the misuse of freedom, that is called vikarma. So over here, Krishna, what he says, anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called vikarma. So we are going against the Vedas. So that is vikarma, and this should be completely avoided, right? And also, as Mataji read over here, okay, this basically shows the Lord's omnipotent way. Okay, there are also three types of potency to the Lord. Does anyone know? Omnipotent,
omniscient, and omnipresent.
Yeah, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. So basically, omnipotent in this context is basically having unlimited power, right? So Lord, just by his glance, he impregnated a material nature. So just imagine the kind of power someone Supreme Personality of Godhead has, that just by just to look at the material world, he impregnated the whole thing. So omnipotent is that. And omniscient, I think, is basically having a lot of knowledge, possessing a lot of knowledge of just not what is happening around us, but it is past, present, and future. And the final one is omnipresent. It is basically existing everywhere. Like Krishna expands himself and stays in the 16,100 and the queen's houses, right? So that is he should be everywhere at the very same time, right? So all of this thing is only present in Lord Shri Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can continue.
The Lord being omnipotent can speak by breathing air, for as it is confirmed. As it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord has the omnipotence to perform through each of his senses the actions of all other senses. In other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing. He can impregnate by his eyes. In fact, it is said that he glanced over material nature and thus fathered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of material nature, he gave his directions in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in the material nature are all eager for material enjoyment, but the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead. Having finished his so-called enjoyment, it is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. After ISKCON had come only, we started the whole preaching point of view, right? Before that, unlike other religions, where they have a particular days and where they encourage people to study their holy scriptures, we never had such kind of thing till ISKCON had come and they had started, Prabhupada has done all this. Yeah, even now we see a lot of people, a lot of Hindus who are not willing to study, who do not want to know this kind of knowledge. What is the reason? It's simple. They just don't want to know all this, because they are so indulged in material needs that they don't want to understand all this. They were we rather be ignorant of all this than knowing all this. So this is how the process of material people go on. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, you've lived so many lifetimes, right? Just give me this one lifetime. And Like, I promise that I will, like, make sure you go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the promise our Guru gives us. So we have to strive our best to do what we can in this particular state, right? And we'll also see the cycle of this yajna process. Just a second. Mataji, you can also continue reading this, yeah? Mataji, you're still there?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah. Mataji, you can read this towards the right side, yeah? Purpose of human life and all that.
Okay. Purpose of human life. Please the Supreme Lord. Best process. Please the Supreme Lord by unalloyed and undeviated devotional service. Best yajna for this age of Kali, Sankirtan yajna, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Best mantra to be chanted, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Conclusion. Thus, all pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So beautifully they have summarized this, yeah. So now we see the last two shlokas, what they have said, yeah. So from all living embodied, okay, so they all, like all of us, we depend on food grains, and food grains is produced because of rainfall, and rainfall happens only when we perform yajna or yagas, okay, which is sacrifice. And then those are born of prescribed duties. And prescribed duties are listed in the 4 Vedas, like we have read previously in the purport, yeah. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharana Veda, and Sama Veda. And those Vedas come from Supreme Lord. Actually, they come from Brahma, but Brahma gained this from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So eventually, this is the cycle of sacrifice. It's a must remember, actually. So if you want me, I can share this in the group. So this cycle is very, very important. And Krishna, in the next verse, in 3.16, he says, a person who doesn't remember this cycle, then, they are not following the prescribed duties, and they will not, they are so materially bound. Yeah, I think that will be taken by Mataji in the next class. But this is basically the summary of 3.14 and 3.15. Do anyone have any doubts further? Or is everything clear? No questions, no doubts? All clear, Matajis and Prabhujis? I hope I have done. I hope I've done my level best. I'm not as good as Bhumika Mataji, but I've really tried my best.
It was clear.
Oh,
It's
Mataji, nice clarification.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for reading and being a part of the discussion. Thank you so much. If there are no doubts, we can end the session.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
That was very
Devancha
nice, Mataji. It was very nice.
Thank you so much,
Excellent.
Nandini Mataji. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashish Prabhuji, and thank you, ICF, for giving me this opportunity. We'll end with the ending prayers. Yeah.
All are very young, Mataji, and you know so much, and you are teaching us. We are very proud of you all.
Mataji, thank you so much. All Krishna's mercy,
Stay
Mataji.
blessed,
Thank
Mataji.
you. Thank
Stay
you. Thank
blessed.
you so much. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय भगवद गीता की जय all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Pranams. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.